The moment Victor Hale slowed his breathing and let his eyelids fall, the door to his bedroom creaked open. Footsteps. Soft. Measured. He counted them without moving a muscle. 1, 2, 3. His heart thudded harder than he wanted, but he forced it down. He had trained himself for this, trained his body to lie still even when danger brushed past his skin. The monitors beside his bed hummed, steady and obedient. To any observer, he was asleep. Vulnerable. Old money wrapped in silk sheets. He wasn't. The footsteps stopped beside his bed. "Mr. Hale," a woman's voice said quietly. Victor didn't respond. Silence stretched. He felt her presence like a weight, a pressure in the room that made his jaw tighten. Most people rushed when they thought he was asleep. They whispered. They snooped. They stole glances at the watch on his wrist, the phone on the nightstand, the safe hidden behind the painting. This woman did none of that. Instead, she exhaled slowly, as if calming herself. "All right," she murmured, almost to herself. "Let's do this properly." Victor's fingers twitched beneath the sheet. Properly? What did that mean? The mattress dipped as she leaned closer. He smelled clean soap and something sharper, mint, maybe. He focused on keeping his breathing even. She reached for the nightstand. There it was. The test. His phone lay face up, screen dark but unlocked. One swipe would give access to his entire life. Bank accounts. Messages. Secrets worth killing for. Her fingers hovered. Then she surprised him. She didn't touch the phone. She picked up the charging cable instead and unplugged it from the wall. Victor's pulse spiked. She crouched, following the cable to the socket, and he heard a soft click. The power cut. The monitor beside him flickered once, then steadied on battery. "What are you doing?" Victor thought, but his body stayed frozen. The woman straightened and glanced, not at the phone, not at the watch, but at the corner of the ceiling. At the camera. Victor felt something cold slide down his spine. She smiled faintly. Not nervous. Not greedy. Almost sad. "They really didn't tell you, did they?" she whispered. His breath nearly hitched. Nearly. She leaned closer, her voice barely louder than the hum of the air vent. "You should have replaced the firmware. This model broadcasts on a closed loop. Easy to tap." Victor's mind raced. No one outside his security team knew that. No one. Her eyes flicked to his face. "And before you panic," she added softly, "no, I'm not here to hurt you." She paused. "I'm here because someone else is." Victor wanted to open his eyes. He wanted to sit up, demand answers, call security. But instinct screamed at him to stay still. To listen. She stepped back, moving around the room with purpose now. Not the stiff efficiency of a maid on her first night, but the calm certainty of someone following a plan. She crossed to the window, checked the latch, then quietly locked it. "Third floor," she murmured. "Too exposed." She returned to the bed and adjusted the blanket around his shoulders. The touch was gentle, careful, like she was afraid of hurting him. "Your heart rate's up," she whispered. "You should work on that. Someone watching the feed might notice." Victor almost laughed at the absurdity of it. Someone watching the feed. Who? She turned away and moved to his desk. Papers rustled. A drawer opened, then closed. He felt the faint vibration as she slid something into place, his laptop waking up. She plugged in a small device. A flash drive. Victor's thoughts slammed into each other. How did she know the password? How did she even know where? She leaned close to the screen, typing fast, then froze. Her shoulders stiffened. "Damn it," she muttered. Victor's breath faltered, just a fraction. She heard it. Her head snapped toward him. For a split second, their faces were inches apart. Victor could feel the heat of her breath, see the concentration etched into her features even through his closed eyes. Then she smiled again. This time, it wasn't sad. It was knowing. "You're good," she said quietly. "I'll give you that." Victor's heart slammed. She bent closer, her lips near his ear, and whispered the words that made his blood run cold. "You can stop pretending now, Mr. Hale. I know you're awake." Time seemed to fracture. Victor held still, every instinct screaming. He'd been tested before. This could be another bluff. Another trick. She waited. 5 seconds. 10. "All right," she sighed. "Have it your way." She straightened and spoke louder, like she was addressing the room. "If anyone's listening, he's asleep." I checked. Heart rate's normal. Breathing steady. She glanced at the camera again, then reached up and twisted something hidden behind the vent grill. The faintest click. The hum changed. Victor felt his phone vibrate once on the nightstand. A message. She picked it up, unlocked it, and typed quickly. Then she placed it back exactly where it had been. "You really should read that when you wake up," she said, calm as ever. "Assuming you get the chance." She moved toward the door. Panic flared in Victor's chest. If she left now. "Wait," he said, the word ripping out of him before he could stop it. She froze. Slowly, she turned. Victor opened his eyes. For the first time, they truly looked at each other. She wasn't what he expected. Not timid. Not hardened. Her gaze was sharp, intelligent, layered with something heavier, grief, maybe. Resolve. "Well," she said softly. "There you are." He pushed himself up on his elbows, heart pounding. "Who are you?" She studied him for a long moment, then answered honestly. "Someone who knows your nephew is trying to kill you." The room seemed to tilt. "My nephew is family," Victor snapped. "He wouldn't." She stepped closer, anger flashing through her calm. "Family gets greedy faster than strangers." She gestured to the laptop. "I left you proof. Accounts, messages, schedules. Tonight was supposed to be a test run." Victor swallowed. "A test for who?" "For you," she said. "To see if you'd die quietly." Silence crashed down between them. "And you?" Victor asked hoarsely. "What were you testing?" Her eyes softened. "Whether you were worth saving." She turned and walked out, leaving Victor sitting upright in bed, frozen, not by fear alone, but by the terrible realization that pretending to sleep might have been the only reason he was still alive. Victor didn't sleep for the rest of the night. He sat on the edge of the bed long after the door closed behind her, staring at the place where she'd stood, replaying every word, every movement. His heart refused to slow, hammering against his ribs as if trying to escape. "Someone who knows your nephew is trying to kill you." He reached for his phone with shaking fingers and opened the message she'd sent. "Check the flash drive. Then check your security chief's offshore account. And Victor, don't confront anyone yet. You're not as safe as you think." His jaw tightened. Only 3 people called him Victor. One was dead. One had betrayed him. The third was the man he was now being warned about. He swung his legs off the bed and crossed to the desk. The laptop screen glowed faintly. He hesitated before touching it, a strange fear creeping in, not of lies, but of truth. "All right," he muttered to himself. "Let's see how deep this goes." The files opened smoothly. Too smoothly. Transaction logs flooded the screen. Dates. Amounts. Shell companies layered inside shell companies. Victor recognized the pattern immediately. He'd built empires on spotting numbers that didn't belong. And there it was. Ethan Hale. His nephew's name appeared again and again, buried under aliases that would have fooled anyone else. Anyone except Victor. No, he whispered. He scrolled faster. Emails loaded next. Encrypted threads, partially decrypted already. He's getting suspicious. We move before the board meeting. The maid is clean. I approved her myself. Victor's stomach dropped. He slammed the laptop shut, breathing hard, and paced the room. His mind raced backward through recent weeks. Ethan's sudden concern about his health. The insistence on new staff. The gentle suggestions that maybe Victor was getting tired, maybe it was time to protect the company. You planned this, Victor said aloud, voice shaking with fury. You planned all of it. A knock at the door made him flinch. Sir. Mr. Collins' voice filtered through. Just checking in. Victor straightened, schooling his face into calm. Come in. The door opened, and Collins stepped inside, hands clasped behind his back, posture respectful. He'd been with Victor for 8 years. Ex-military. Trusted. Or so Victor thought. You seemed restless on the monitors, Collins said carefully. Everything all right? Victor studied him. Every blink, every shift of weight suddenly felt loaded. I couldn't sleep, Victor replied. New staff takes some getting used to. Collins nodded. Understandable. The maid finished her duties and left the premises. No issues. Victor's eyes narrowed slightly. You approved her yourself, didn't you? Yes, sir, Collins said without hesitation. Full background check. Clean record. Victor leaned back against the desk. Funny. She seemed unusually competent. A flicker crossed Collins' face. Too fast for most people to notice. Not fast enough for Victor. I'll look into it, Collins said. No, Victor replied calmly. Don't. Collins stiffened. Sir. I want her back tomorrow night, Victor said. Same schedule. A beat of silence. Of course, Collins said. I'll arrange it. After Collins left, Victor locked the door and let the mask fall. He pressed his hands to his face, breathing hard. Betrayal cut deeper when it wore a familiar face. Ethan had been a boy on his knee once. He'd paid for his education. Given him chances no one else would have. And now he was planning his funeral. Victor poured himself a drink with shaking hands. He didn't drink much anymore, doctor's orders, but tonight, he didn't care. The burn steadied him. His gaze drifted to the door again. The maid. Lena. That's what the file had called her. Lena Moore. No criminal history. No digital footprint beyond a few scattered records. Too clean. By morning, Victor had made a decision. If Ethan wanted him dead, then Victor would let him think he was winning. The next evening came too slowly. Victor returned to bed early, deliberately visible to the cameras, deliberately weak. He swallowed his medication on screen, then pretended to drift off, eyelids fluttering, breath shallow. Behind the walls, systems whirred. Somewhere, someone was watching. The door opened again. This time, Victor recognized the rhythm of her steps. Lena moved with the same quiet confidence, but there was tension in her shoulders now. She closed the door softly and stood still, listening. Bold move, she whispered. Bringing me back. Victor didn't answer. She crossed the room, glancing at the cameras. One by one, tiny red lights blinked out. Victor's pulse quickened. She was even faster tonight. She leaned over him, her expression serious. You looked at the files, didn't you? His jaw clenched. That's a yes, she said softly. Good. She straightened and began working quickly, checking vents, the window, the bathroom. When she returned, she lowered her voice. "They're accelerating the timeline," she said. "Your nephew's nervous." Victor opened his eyes. "Then tell him to stop," he said quietly. She didn't flinch this time. "You know that's not how this ends." Victor sat up slowly, ignoring the ache in his chest. "Then explain it to me. All of it. No riddles." She hesitated, then nodded. "All right. But once I start, there's no pretending anymore." "Good," Victor said. "I'm tired of pretending." She pulled a chair close and sat, eyes never leaving the door. "My father worked for you," she began. 10 years ago. Driver. Loyal. Quiet." Victor's brow furrowed. "I remember him. He found something he shouldn't have," Lena said, voice tight. "Transfers. Orders signed but never approved. He told Mr. Collins." Victor's stomach twisted. "And 2 weeks later," she continued, "he died in a car accident. Ruled a mechanical failure." Victor closed his eyes. Guilt surged through him like a wave. "I didn't know," he said hoarsely. "I know," Lena replied. "That's why I'm here." She leaned forward. "Your nephew picked up where Collins left off. Bigger ambitions. Less patience." Victor opened his eyes again, anger blazing. "Then we end it." "Yes," Lena said. "But carefully." A faint beep echoed from the hallway. Lena's head snapped up. That wasn't supposed to happen. The door handle rattled. Victor's heart pounded. "What is it?" She stood. Someone just accessed the internal cameras. The door began to open. Lena reached behind her back, pulling out a small device. "Mr. Hale," she said urgently, "if you trust me at all, lie back down." "What?" Victor hissed. "Now." He did. The door swung open. Ethan Hale stepped inside, smiling. "Uncle," Ethan said warmly. "Couldn't sleep." Lena stepped back into the shadows, her eyes locked on Victor's face. And Victor realized, too late, that the real test was only just beginning. Ethan's smile was perfectly practiced, the kind that belonged on magazine covers and boardroom portraits. It didn't reach his eyes. Victor lay still again, forcing his breathing shallow, letting the weight of age and illness settle back onto his body. The mattress dipped as Ethan stepped closer. "I was worried," Ethan said softly. "You didn't answer my call." Victor resisted the urge to respond. Every instinct screamed to confront him, to tear the mask away, but Lena's warning echoed in his mind. "Lie back down." Ethan leaned over him, studying his face far too closely. Victor could feel his gaze like fingers pressing into his skin. "He's asleep," Ethan said, glancing toward the corner of the room. "Right?" There was a pause. Somewhere beyond the walls, a system responded. A green indicator flicked on. "Yes," a voice crackled faintly through Ethan's earpiece. "Vitals normal." Victor's stomach churned. "Collins." Ethan exhaled in relief and straightened. "Good. I hate seeing him like this. Breaks my heart." From the shadows near the wardrobe, Lena watched, every muscle in her body coiled tight. She hadn't moved since Ethan entered. She'd become part of the room, invisible by design. Ethan turned, scanning the space. "You hired new staff," he said casually. "Didn't you?" Victor's pulse spiked, but he kept still. Ethan chuckled. "Don't worry. I approved it." Still, funny timing. He walked toward the desk, fingers brushing over the laptop. "You know," he continued, voice light, "the board's concerned. They think maybe the stress is getting to you. That maybe it's time to rest." He leaned closer to Victor again, his voice dropping. I told them I'd take care of things. Lena's jaw clenched. Ethan reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small vial. Clear liquid. No label. Victor's heart slammed. Just something to help you sleep, Ethan murmured. Deeper. He moved toward the four-stand. Stop. The word cut through the room like a blade. Victor's eyes flew open as he sat up, fury blazing. Ethan stumbled back, shock flashing across his face. Uncle. Put it down, Victor growled. Now. Ethan's gaze darted around the room. You're not supposed to be awake. That seems to be the theme of the evening, Victor snapped. Lena stepped out of the shadows. Ethan froze. You, he said slowly. You're the maid. Yes, Lena replied evenly. And no. Ethan laughed, though there was panic beneath it. Uncle, you don't understand. She's manipulating you. Victor swung his legs off the bed, standing despite the ache ripping through his chest. The only manipulation here is yours. Ethan's smile vanished. You always did think you were the smartest man in the room. And you always thought that made you invisible, Victor shot back. Ethan's hand tightened around the vial. I didn't want it to be like this. Lena stepped closer, her voice low and deadly calm. But you planned it anyway. Ethan's eyes flicked to her. You should have stayed buried with your father. The room went very still. Lena's breath hitched, just once. Victor saw it, the pain, the rage, and something inside him hardened. He moved between them without thinking. Enough, Victor said. It's over. Ethan's expression twisted. Over? You think you've won? He laughed, sharp and humorless. Do you have any idea how many people are watching this feed right now? Lena's eyes widened. Victor. Too late. The monitors on the wall flickered to life, screens filling with faces. Board members. Investors. Security personnel. Ethan straightened, confidence flooding back. Ladies and gentlemen, he said smoothly, you're witnessing a medical episode. Victor felt the ground shift beneath him. He's confused, Ethan continued. Delusional. Claiming family is trying to hurt him. Classic signs. Lena lunged for the desk. He's lying. Ethan raised a hand. Careful. Assaulting a company officer won't help your case. Victor's chest tightened. He turned to Lena. Do it. She hesitated. If I do, there's no going back. Victor met her eyes. There already isn't. Lena slammed her palm onto the desk and hit a key combination. The screens changed. Gasps echoed through the speakers. Transaction logs. Messages. Video clips. Ethan's voice, clear as day. Increase the dosage. If he dies in his sleep, no one questions it. Ethan's face drained of color. What is this? Someone demanded over the feed. Lena spoke, her voice steady despite the tremor in her hands. Evidence. Collected over 6 months. Ethan spun toward Victor, fury exploding. You planned this? Victor shook his head slowly. No. She did. Ethan lunged. Security flooded the room, weapons drawn. Collins burst in behind them, eyes wild. Stand down. Collins barked. This is a setup. Lena turned to him. Like my father? Collins froze. Victor watched the man crumble in real time. The bravado drained away, leaving only fear. I was following orders, Collins whispered. Whose? Victor demanded. Collins glanced at Ethan. That was enough. Sirens wailed in the distance. Ethan backed away, desperation clawing at his face. Uncle, please. You don't understand what they'll do to us. Victor's voice was cold. I understand exactly who you are. Police stormed in, cuffing Ethan and Collins as protests filled the room. As they dragged Ethan past Victor, Ethan leaned close and hissed, "You're dead anyway." Victor didn't blink. Not tonight. When the room finally emptied, silence settled heavy and absolute. Victor sank back onto the bed, exhaustion crashing over him. Lena stood nearby, hands trembling now that the danger had passed. "You okay?" she asked quietly. Victor laughed weakly. "I think I just survived my own obituary." She allowed herself a small, shaky smile. "I told you," she said. "Pretending can save your life." Victor looked at her, really looked at her, and felt the weight of everything she'd lost for this moment. "You saved me," he said. "I don't know how to repay that." Lena swallowed. "Justice is enough." Victor nodded. "Then you'll get it." Outside, dawn began to break. But the hardest part was still ahead. Morning light crept slowly through the tall windows, pale and unforgiving. It revealed everything the night had tried to hide: Victor's fatigue, the deep lines carved into his face by years of control and mistrust, and the quiet devastation lingering in Lena's eyes. The mansion felt different now. Quieter. Exposed. Victor sat at the edge of the bed, elbows resting on his knees, staring at the floor as if answers might appear there. Police voices echoed faintly downstairs, along with the soft hum of equipment being dismantled. His world was being taken apart piece by piece. Lena stood near the door, unsure of her place now that the role she'd played was over. "I should go," she said softly. Victor looked up. "No." She hesitated. "Victor. You didn't risk your life to walk away like a ghost," he said. "Sit." She studied him for a long moment, then pulled the chair back and sat, hands clasped tightly in her lap. The adrenaline had faded, leaving raw emotion in its place. "They're going to question you," Victor said. "Over and over." "I know," Lena replied. "I've been preparing for that longer than I prepared for tonight." Victor nodded. "Your father deserved better." The words hung heavy between them. Lena's composure cracked. Her shoulders shook once, then again, as years of suppressed grief surfaced all at once. "He believed in you," she said, voice breaking. "He thought if he did the right thing, it would matter." Victor felt something deep in his chest give way. "It did," he said quietly. "I just didn't see it in time." Silence settled again, but this time it wasn't threatening. It was honest. Hours passed in fragments, questions, statements, signatures. Victor answered everything, refusing lawyers, refusing to hide. For the first time in decades, he told the truth without calculating the cost. By afternoon, the house was empty. Ethan was gone. Collins was gone. The cameras were gone. So was the illusion that Victor Hale controlled everything. He stood in the study, staring at the desk where Lena had first plugged in the flash drive. "They'll bury this if I let them," he said. Lena crossed her arms. "Then don't." He turned to her. "Stay." She raised an eyebrow. "As what?" "As the one person I know isn't lying to me." She shook her head slowly. "I didn't do this for power." "I know," Victor said. "That's why I trust you." Days turned into weeks. The news cycle exploded. A billionaire betrayed by family. A corporate conspiracy exposed. The mysterious maid who vanished before interviews could begin. Victor watched it all from a distance, refusing to give statements until the internal investigation was complete. He dismantled entire departments, froze accounts, reopened cases long closed. True to his word, he reopened her father's file. It took time. Pressure. Money. But eventually, the truth surfaced: fabricated reports, altered evidence, orders traced back to Collins and Ethan. The ruling was overturned. Lena received the call late one evening. She stood in the same room where she'd once pretended to dust shelves, phone pressed to her ear, tears sliding silently down her face. "He's cleared," the voice said. "Fully." She closed her eyes, relief crashing over her like a wave. When she hung up, Victor was watching her. "It's done," she said. He nodded. "Good." They stood there for a moment, unsure what came next. "I'm leaving," Lena said. Victor's chest tightened. "Where?" "Somewhere quiet," she replied. "Somewhere I don't have to look over my shoulder." He reached into his desk drawer and pulled out a folder, sliding it toward her. "You'll have resources. Protection. A choice." She didn't open it. "I don't want to be owned by gratitude." Victor smiled sadly. "Neither do I." He hesitated, then extended his hand. "Then let me be something else." She looked at his hand, then at his face. "What?" "A man who owes his life to the right person," he said. "And intends to spend what's left of it making sure she never has to fight alone again." She took his hand. "Not as an employee. Not as a weapon. As an equal." Months later, Victor Hale no longer slept with the cameras on. He no longer pretended to be weaker than he was, or stronger. Trust came slowly, but it came. And sometimes, late at night, he would remember the moment that changed everything, the moment he pretended to sleep, believing he was the one in control. Only to freeze when a whisper in the dark reminded him of the truth. The most dangerous lies are the ones you tell yourself. And sometimes, the person you least expect to save you is the one brave enough to tell you to wake up. The story didn't end with handcuffs or headlines. Those faded fast. What stayed with Victor Hale was the silence that followed, the kind that forces a man to finally hear his own thoughts. For years, he had believed power meant control. Cameras. Tests. Pretending. He had believed that being awake while others slept made him untouchable. But the night he chose to fake sleep, he learned the truth: control had made him blind, not safe. It was trust, earned, painful trust, that saved him. Somewhere beyond the walls of that mansion, Lena built a quieter life. She didn't take his money, his name, or his shadow. But she left something behind that Victor would carry for the rest of his days, the reminder that loyalty cannot be forced, and integrity cannot be bought. Victor still slept lightly. Old habits die hard. But when he closed his eyes now, it wasn't fear that kept him alert. It was gratitude. Because the billionaire who once pretended to sleep to test others had finally learned how to wake up, and that lesson cost him everything he thought made him powerful, and gave him something far rarer in return. If this story kept you on edge, don't let it end here. Hit like if you believe trust can come from the most unexpected places. Subscribe for more powerful, suspense-filled stories that expose hidden truths and unforgettable twists. And comment below, would you have pretended to sleep, or faced the danger head-on? Your support helps keep these stories alive. Stay watching. The next story might be even closer to home.